All right, hopefully in this video we're able to help you out a little bit with some negative exponents. Our first situation is, and I'm going to write this rather large here, but we're going to deal with the expression 2 to the negative 3, and we want to remind ourselves how we handle that. First of all, I try to remind students, and I put this rather large so we can see it, but each of these two things that I've circled does something a little bit different, and we have to get it out of our head. The negative in the exponent will have no effect on whether the answer is positive or negative. It simply tells us that at some point we need the reciprocal of what we are doing. So when you're doing a problem like this, we need to start with 2 to the third power. And we won't worry about the negative, we'll just let that happen, we'll take care of that later. But 2 to the third power simply is what's 2 times 2 times 2. And hopefully we come up with 8 from that. That takes care of the 3 here. The negative here that's dealt with simply says we need to flip that over. We need the reciprocal of what we have. So the answer turns out to be 1/8 in that case. If we took a similar example and said let's go with 3 to the minus 2, again I would urge you as students working on these problems to treat each of those things separately. We need to take 3 to the second power, and then we need the reciprocal of that. 3 to the second power turns out to be 9, which then is going to become 1/9 when we flip that over from the negative on the exponent. Again, reminding ourselves that the negative is not going to change the answer to a negative value. It simply is we need the reciprocal of whatever we get when we take 3 to the second power. And that's something that we have to remind ourselves of constantly. I'm now going to take something like negative 3 to the negative 2. I'm going to change this just slightly, simply because I want to remind students here that this negative 2 power is really only sitting on the 3. So this tells me that I need to take 3 to the second power, I need the reciprocal of it, and then I need to make sure my answer is negative. That is different than a lot of students think of this as negative 3 in parentheses, and in this case it would say to take negative 3, the whole thing, square it, and then take the reciprocal, and that's not quite my problem. My problem says I need 3 squared, which is 9. I need 9 flipped over because of the negative exponent, so that's going to become 1/9. And I need to make sure that I make that negative because I have the negative out in front. So the answer to that turns out to be a negative 1/9. Lastly, I want to deal with a fraction. We're going to deal with 2/3 in parentheses to the negative 3 power. Does not change. We need to take 2/3, we need to cube it, 2/3 to the third power, and then we need the reciprocal of that. So in this case, we would have, and I'm going to write this one out, 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3, which would give me 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, over 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. So I've taken care of the cubing part. Now I need to take care of the negative. And remember, that negative isn't going to make the answer negative, but it means I need the reciprocal. So this is going to end up changing to 27/8 for the final answer. Hopefully this video helps you out with a little bit of negative exponents. Just remember when you're dealing with negative exponents that the negative in the exponent doesn't make the number itself negative, but instead it tells you that you're going to have to take the reciprocal or flip over whatever you're working with. Hopefully this one helps you out. Thank you.